Introverts, how did you meet your girlfriend? She sent me an email asking about a club I was the president of. At 3 in the morning. She was impressed at how promptly I responded. I'm pretty sure insomnia led to me meeting the love of my life. I'm reading all these great stories, yet I can't stop thinking about the mosquito burgers in the post above this. Man, that was gross. She was my college roommate's sister. She got a flat tire, and he couldn't help, so I went. Him and I worked together, lived together, and ended up being great friends. He was very outgoing, social, and loud, and I was not. He would tell me I reminded him of his sister, and one day at work, he was actually discussing people he'd trust to date his sister, and he put me on that list. A year later she decided to come to school where her brother attended. We met, but never really hung out. One day she had a flat tire, and I was on campus, so I helped her with it, and she offered to buy me lunch for the help. We went to lunch, and I guess I said the right things, because here we are, 10 years later, we've been married for 5 years, and our daughter turned 4 last week. She's my best friend. Almost 9 years ago I decided to see if Yahoo chat rooms were still a thing. I had just moved to northern Wisconsin and had cabin fever in a real bad way. My now husband put a 9-inch nails quote in chat and it started a back and forth debate on the existence of God and existentialism. We moved in with each other 3 months later. I saw her in a dream, then stalked her at a house party and told her she had cool shoes. She thought I was weird. Then I found out she delivered for Amazon, so I bought something off Amazon and waited eagerly for the delivery. As it turns out, she delivered the package. I asked her out on a date, she said no. I asked if she wanted to hang out, she hesitantly said sure. We ended up sleeping together that night. Was classmates in high school, said hello in college, and here we are. Met her in an online social game. She straight up told me she liked me, thought she was just being nice. She had told me straight up that she was asking me out before I understood what she meant. I met my wife in Ragnarok online. It was one of those what are the odds moments. I woke up early one Sunday morning during college, which was very weird, because I usually went to bed around 7 a.m. For some reason, I had gone to bed around 6 and woke up at 9ish. I was sitting at my guild's normal hangout spot and chatting with my assistant guild leader. She happened to wander up and offered to sell us the paper card. Her offer was 3 million jenny. Now, if I was a jerk, I would have bought it. The card was worth 18 million. I told her this and we had a conversation about it. After a bit, I recruited her into my guild, gave her a frozen rose to break down into arrows, and directed her to a good place to level and make money. She informed me she hadn't logged in months. She just saw Ragnarok on her desktop and wondered if she could remember her account info. She logged in on a total whim on the morning I happened to wake up early, then by off chance wandered upon our hangout spot and tried to sell us something. After she logged out, I told my assistant guild leader we would probably never see her again. Now we have a 2-year-old son and a townhouse. Go figure. Edit, years later, she still has that frozen rose in her inventory. She never broke it down for arrows. In school, she knew some of my friends and said hi when we passed by. One day she grabbed my phone and ran to the girls' bathroom, then she gave it back to me. She added herself, but I didn't even realize until she talked to me. At first I didn't want to talk with her, but after like a month of her sending me messages I started reply her with longer messages, and then one day she invited me to eat lunch, and I was so afraid, but my friends told me I should go. Been dating her for 1 year now, and I love her so much. She messaged me on an online dating site. The site was for just college campus students. We met on campus the next day for lunch. She invited me over to her house to watch Six String Samurai, 1998. It was a pinnacle of cinematic movie making. There will be no movie that combines excellent action sequences and compelling character development. My favorite character was the child that travels with the six-string samurai himself. The dialogue that was written for him was phenomenal, and the child's acting was amazing. I was almost convinced it wasn't a movie whenever he was on screen. We've rewatched the movie every month we've been together so far, and we couldn't be happier. I went to Japan. 6 feet tall white nerds get love here. I moved and started university in Japan. I would rarely leave my apartment except for class, but one day a friend I made at an event invited me to his LAN party at his share house. She, my now girlfriend, was living there at the time and my friend dragged her into the event because she played games. I saw her playing games all alone and invited her to party up with myself and a few others. We hit it off after that and now she's my girlfriend. She told me other people at the share house found me annoying because I wouldn't stop talking to her. Despite that, I'm good friends with all of them and am moving into the share house, too. Nobody will probably see it, but whatever. Last year I was very introvert, only like 2 friends, and I was never going out except for high school. I had 0 female friends. This year I moved to a different country for my senior year, and it's probably the best thing that happened to me. At the beginning of the year I saw that the most beautiful girl in the class was sitting alone during English classes. I told her, "Can I sit next to you?" We're dating since 3 months and this summer we're going in holidays with 6 other friends. Life is great. Met my boyfriend of 3.5 years through my abusive ex. He reached out to me when I was particularly depressed. We hung out watching Ghost in the Shell and he watched me play BioShock. He was super supportive and sweet, and it gave me this realization of this is how it should be. So I left my abusive ex and gave it a bit of time, and of course we ended up together. See. Edit, forgot to mention I am also an introvert, and BF didn't introduce me to video games. That credit goes to my brother in early childhood. I met my fiancé at our college's anime club. It was my first time attending a club of any sorts and was play fighting with some new friends when this stranger joined in and threw water on my head. I got real upset and embarrassed, so left to go sit alone and play on my phone. Later he came over and saw what I was playing and said, "Cool, I love that game." He grabbed a paper cup and doodled my favorite character on it and gave it to me before walking away. He was apparently a close friend of my new club friends, so by association we were friends. A few months later our club was attending an anime con and we all went to the con's late night rave/dance thing. I started getting a panic attack due to the large crowd and slipped out to be alone. My best friend noticed I was gone and grabbed him to help look for me. They eventually found me in the parking lot heading back to my hotel. My best friend was used to seeing me freak out, but he was still pretty much a stranger, so I told him to go away and said some pretty mean things so that he'd leave, but he didn't. He stayed with me for the rest of that night and here we are almost 3 years later. I love that man to pieces and still have that paper cup doodle smile. Was stationed in Japan and was dragged to a nightclub by someone on the ship who wanted to go out but needed a buddy per policy since we were new. Not being into nightclubs, I told him as long as he paid for my drinks at the bar, I'd go. Needless to say, when we got there he immediately went from area to area asking each set of girls if they spoke English. When he found a table full of ladies who spoke English, he started laying it on thick. Like embarrassingly thick. I was content with just watching this dude I barely knew make an ass out of himself when one of the girls asked if I liked the club we were at. I was honest and told her it was the first I had been to, and wasn't really into it. She said she was in the same boat. She had never been to a club and was exhausted by all the fake people. We decided we'd sneak out together as an excuse to not let her friends down. Her and I ended up having an amazing weekend in Yokohama. She showed me all of the cool spots and introduced me to things I would have never explored being a naive, young American kid. We dated for a couple of months and realized we were both just a little bit awkward enough to be perfect for each other. We celebrate our 15th wedding anniversary this October, and still couldn't be happier with our collective introversion. We tell our kids that if anyone asks where their parent met, to say at church. Not because we're embarrassed that we met at a nightclub, but because no one would believe it if they know us. Tried asking a different girl out in high school in the only way I could, over AIM. She rejected me and told me of this girl that liked me, didn't know her well but gave it a chance. Been together for 11 years, married for 6, with 3 kids. I'm a girl and my boyfriend and I are both introverts. We met in college, we were in the same dorm and we both went downstairs to watch Doctor Who on the community TV. Turns out we had a mutual friend and from that a group of us started hanging out. He and I became best friends and were just that for 4 years. Then, I realized I was falling for him but he was in a relationship. He then broke up with her and a while later very nervously blurted out that he had feelings for me but didn't want to mess up our friendship. We took things slow and now we've been dating a year and a half and I'm happier than I've ever been.